So can you please answer my actual
What is a
question?
Jaquita?
Can you please
Why is
answer my
everyone in the
question?
comments so Islamophobic? It's crazy.
Nobody's
So yeah, that's
Islamophobic.
what I'm trying
Nobody's
to.
afraid of you guys.
What?
Islamophobic
What
means
is
you're
wrong?
afraid of somebody. No one's afraid of you guys.
It's more of a hate thing than like a fear thing. I know it has the
Nobody
word
hates
phobic in it,
you.
but it's
Nobody
more of
hates
a
you. Don't
hate.
pull out a victim card, right? So can you please
All
answer the
right, all
question?
right, okay, yeah, that's why you're having this live. Anyway,
She came ready to defend Islam, but Big Jon Steel came ready with logic. From monotheism to charity, and even personal experience, she tried it all. But did any of it actually hold up? You're about to find out. You can check out the full debate. It's linked in the description below. Be sure to subscribe to this channel for more truth-packed content, and don't forget to check out Big Jon Steel's channel for full, unfiltered live debates. And stick around, because at the end of this video, I'll be sharing 3 key takeaways you won't want to miss.
so firstly, I feel as though I see a lot of Christian streamers concentrating on like Muslims, like so why do you do that? Like why isn't the live stream like, oh, convert to Christianity instead of just like there's no good reason to be a Muslim?
I do
Is
that
it
all
because
the
like we have the
time.
highest like Muslims have like the highest conversion rates, like Islamists have
I
highest conversion
literally
rates?
do that all the time. I literally had a live on Wednesday that said Christianity is true. Prove me wrong.
Yeah. Well, but like why is
That's like
the
what I
live titled
mostly
this
do
today?
because I wanted to.
Yeah. No, I see that. I get that. But like why is it titled this today? Like why concentrate on like putting down another religion? Like is that one of like I feel like that wasn't like Jesus'
Because I
message.
wanted to.
But like I feel like that's not like Jesus' message. Like I feel like
Yes, it
you're
is.
supposed to like respect
100%
other people's like
Jesus's message is
religion.
that you should not follow pagan religions.
It's so so you don't know anything about okay. So what so how is Islam
Define
pagan?
where did the word
What do you think
pagan come
Islam is?
from? Where did the word
What?
pagan come from?
No, well, okay, sorry. How is pagan relevant to this conversation? We're not talking about any pagan religions here.
Because I said that Jesus says that you shouldn't follow pagan religion. You're like, oh, that's not what that means, and then you kind of are going to
Wait,
go
but
into
what
your own
religion
thing.
is pagan here? We're talking about Islam and Christianity, right?
Islam is pagan. Yes.
So, in what way? What does that even mean?
Where do
What?
you think the word pagan came from?
Pagan or just polytheists? They believe in multiple gods.
Pagan has nothing to do with polytheism. What is the word pagan? Where did it come from?
Okay, you tell me.
It came from the Christians, and anything that wasn't Christian was called pagan.
Okay.
That's historically. So Jesus did not want you to be any part of any pagan religions, which would be
I'm not
Muslim,
saying that he wanted anyone to be a part of anything. In fact, Islam didn't exist at the time. So, you know, he didn't talk about Islam at all. But it's just like I think it's very interesting that I always see like them
So
attacking
do you have an
Islam.
argument, or are you just upset?
No, that was just like a question that I had because that's just interesting. But so what's okay? So I'm supposed to prove why there's a good reason to be Muslim. Okay, so I mean, of course, there are like a couple of points with Christianity that don't make sense to me. And I feel like I've asked so many religious people, and like one of the biggest things is that like I don't understand how it could be considered monotheistic since
Right. What
it
does
seems
that
like
have
there
to
are three
do? Hold
gods.
on. What does that have to do with Islam? The question on the
Aren't you
screen.
Christian?
The
Isn't that what?
question on the screen is there's no good reason to be a Muslim. So what does
Okay.
Christianity
So
have
you
to do with
want, sorry,
Islam?
so do you want people to like explain like Islam to you basically is
I
what this
already know
is?
what Islam is. I'm asking for a reason to believe it.
So essentially Islam is I would say the only monotheistic, the actual monotheistic religion. What Muslims believe is that there's
Okay.
one God.
Why does monotheism make it true? Why could it not be a
Because
polytheistic religion?
I think that's in my rationale. I think it only makes sense for there to be one
Right.
divine
So
creator.
you're saying the reason that Islam is true is because of your own intuition. That's a bad reason to believe
No,
something.
I'm
So you're
saying that rationale to me,
kind of proving my point that there's no good reason to be a Muslim because I'm not going to convert
I
to Islam
literally
because of your
just
intuition.
I didn't say it was my intuition. I said that I think it's
You
the
just
most
said that my
rational.
own personal belief is that there has to be one God. Right? That's what you said.
I think that's the only. So I'm going to explain to you my rationale, right? Because I can't explain to you the rationale of like everyone in the world, right? But what makes sense to me is that I feel as though there would be one divine creator
Right. So
that
that's
would
not a
create.
good
And I think
reason.
it's interesting because even and I'm going to talk a bit about Christianity because like that's what this like you are. You know what I mean? Like of course,
No,
like
you're
it's
going to
going to come
defend
in.
Islam because that's the topic today, right? If you want to talk about
Okay.
Christianity, come back on a day,
Okay,
follow
okay,
me, and
okay.
come back on a day when I'm defending
Hit
Christianity.
me with some things you don't like about Islam. How about this? Because like
Doesn't
I'm
matter.
not
It
gonna.
doesn't matter what I like or don't like, right? Because if I don't like it, but it's true, it's still true. So it doesn't matter if I
Okay,
don't
what
like it
do
or
you
like it.
not like? It's obviously it's a whole heavy like it's a large book. Like I'm not gonna sit here and explain every single point of Islam to you. You know, like I want to hear what you don't like so that I can
Okay.
explain.
But anyways, I would say the reason that I am against Islam is that there is no good reason to be a Muslim.
But that's not like so. Why do you think there's no good reason to be a Muslim? That's just
Because
very like
nobody has ever
you just sound very
presented to
close.
me a logical or consistent reason on why I should be a Muslim.
So okay, so I'm gonna explain why I'm. How about this? I'll explain why I'm a Muslim. Okay, so and I'm gonna explain my rationale. So like that's what's going on. I think it makes sense for there to be one God, for there to be one creator. I don't think a man is God. I don't think an object is God. I don't think an animal is God. I think that there's one divine God that created the
Okay,
universe.
why?
I think that when you say like a person is God, I think there are so many issues that arise with that. Like for example, in Christianity,
That's not the
when
question
you
I asked you.
claim like
Why do
a
you
white
believe
man
that
is
God
God,
has to be one and divine? Why?
I think because I don't think like that's so that's what I'm trying to explain
I'm
to
not
you. If
asking
a
if he's a
person,
person. Why
if
does
you
God
say
have to
a
be one?
person, like I like that's not I feel like I'm trying to explain my point, but I'm like being interrupted by
Because you're not
this
actually
is not
addressing the
really.
question I'm asking. The question I'm asking is why does God have to be one? Has nothing to do with whether or not he could be or could not be a person.
I like you think that it should be like multiple divine like I don't. I think that
I'm not
I
making a
feel that there's
claim.
one.
You're saying Islam, right, is monotheistic, so therefore that's an evidence that that it's true. My question is why should I believe in monotheism?
Yeah. So in my I'm trying like I don't in my rationale I think that there's one divine like creator that created everything. I don't. It
Right, but
just
that's
doesn't make sense for
again, you're
there
just
to
begging the
be.
question. So why do you believe that God has to be one? You're just saying my
That's
intuition
not,
says
dude, that's not a reason to not be
you're
Muslim,
saying
though.
yes it
Wait,
is.
wait,
It's
wait.
absolutely a reason not to be
So
Muslim.
the fact that Muslims believe that there's one holy
No,
divine
that's
creator
not what I'm
that
saying. You need to listen
that's
to
why
what
you
I'm
shouldn't
saying.
be Muslim.
That's not what I'm
What's
saying.
evil
No,
about?
no,
What's not
you're
good
not
about that?
listening. You're not listening because that's not what I'm saying, right? So
Okay, what
here,
are you saying?
listen to what I'm saying. You're saying an evidence that Islam is true is that we're monotheistic. I say, okay, how do you know
That's not an
monotheism is?
evidence that it's true. That's my rationale. I'm just saying that like that makes
Okay,
the
well
most
then
sense
if
to
you're
me that
saying
there's
it's
one
just your
God.
rationale, then you're saying it's my intuition that there's only one God, so therefore Islam is
Every
true.
religion
So
is intuition.
hold on. If you're saying it's intuition, your intuition, then by definition, there is no good reason to be a Muslim because going off someone else's intuition is a bad reason to believe something.
It's not someone's intuition. Religion in general, philosophy in general, is going to be a person's intuition. It's going to be whatever
No,
they
it's not.
believe, whatever they rationalize makes
Philosophy
the
is
most
against
sense.
intuition. Philosophy starts on
It's
intuition. It
whatever.
starts
It's
on a
not even.
basis of
It's
intuition.
more rationale than intuition. It's more of just what makes the
I
most
don't think you
sense.
know the words that you're saying, right? So if you say it's more rational
You're
and
calling
it's
it an
an
intuition, and I'm saying
intuition,
it's not an intuition. I'm telling you, it's not an intuition. Basically, is what
okay,
I'm
then
saying. That's
what
my
is the
rationale.
inductive or deductive argument if you're going to use philosophy that Islam is true?
The it makes the most sense. That's I
That's not an
guess.
inductive argument, that's a claim.
Yeah. So do you,
So what is your
and I can go
inductive
into
or
like what makes
deductive
the most,
argument if you want to use philosophy? Go
I
ahead.
can go into like why it makes the most sense to me, but like it makes the most sense to me, and the reason is because in my rationale I feel as though there would be one creator that created the entire universe. I don't think that it makes sense for there to be like a man that's
Why
God
do
or
you
this that's
think
God or
that?
that that's God. Because in religions where you assign a man to be God, there
I'm
are
not
just a
talking about
lot
the
of
man
issues that
part, the
arise.
one God part.
So that's what I'm trying to explain in every so like so the way that I rationalize is like researching other religions, right? I look at like what are the other most popular religions of the world, and I see that this makes the most sense to me because every other one is
Why?
either worshiping it. So I'm explaining. So every other one is like either worshiping a man or worshiping a statue or worshiping an animal,
Zoroastrianism doesn't worship a
like
man or a statue. You could be Zoroastrian. Neither does Jehovah's Witness or Mormonism. They don't worship a man or a statue, so you can be those as well.
well, like Jesus
So
is a man,
again,
is a man. So
why
it's Jehovah's
Islam?
Witnesses worship Jesus.
Jehovah's Witnesses hold Jesus to a high regard. They don't believe that he is the most high.
He not God to them?
He's a lowercase g God. He has authorities and powers, but he is not the most high.
So I thought you were trying to defend Christianity and like kind
Why
of
would you think
be
that
like,
when
oh,
the
other
comment
religions.
is there is
Because
no good reason to be a Muslim?
when we started this chat, you were like, oh, Jesus was against pagans, so I'm never
That's
gonna.
because you asked me a question. I answered the question. I
It
didn't
feels like you're
start the
defending every
conversation
other
with that.
religion now, and you're like, oh
So
well,
what you're saying is you have
Zoroastrianism.
no valid reason to be a Muslim,
No, I have many valid
but
reasons. I'm
you
telling you
can't
that
give me
after.
one except your own
So
intuition.
that's not what it. Okay. Anyway, so the way that like I came about being like, okay, this makes most sense is obviously I'm trying to explain to you that like I looked into like every other religion and like their rationales, and I was like, okay,
Okay,
this
so
makes
why
the most
aren't you
sense to me. And okay,
Zoroastrian?
so like also I feel as though it promotes being
You're telling me a
a
lot of
better
what you
person.
feel. You're telling me about a lot of what you feel. What I'm
So it
asking
does
for
promote
is
like
for
just being a better
evidence.
person, the five pillars, doing charity, helping people,
Okay, so let me
being
ask
the
you a
most
question.
forgiving.
Do I have to be Muslim to do
You don't
charity
have
and
to
help
be.
people?
No, but
Okay, so then
it's a
that's
motive.
not a
It's a
good reason
motive.
to be
It's a motive to
Muslim.
do it. It's a motive to do it, basically. Like
Well, I can
when
do
you
those things
have,
without being Muslim, so it's not a good reason to be Muslim.
it also sets, there are like some ground rules about it. Like it'll be like, okay, this much of your income, like you have to give this much charity. You have to do this.
Can
Like
I
you have to
give a
do this
certain amount of
more.
money to charity without being
But
Muslim?
it's easier to do it when you have a motive. Like as human beings,
People
when we're
have all sorts
motivated
of
to do something,
motives.
we tend to not do things unless we have a
Pe-
motive to do it.
People
When you
have
have something
all
directly
sorts of
telling you.
motives, right? To do
And they
many
do, but
reasons. So many religions,
when you have it,
the most charitable religion in the world is the Catholic Church. So if you're saying it's based
that's
off
not true.
motive, yes
That's
it is.
not true, dude. No, it's
Statistically,
not.
statistically,
All
according to
right.
Pew Research Center,
Right.
the most donations that have went to charity by a corporation or not a corporation, a cooperative people, I'm trying to remember what the word is by the Catholic Church.
And even if that's the case, that's awesome. That's awesome. Like I think religion in general is a great thing, but I'm trying to tell you that like I think that
What I'm
it's
saying is that's
easier
not
to
a good
convince people to
argument
believe
for
when there's like a
Islam.
motive to do it.
Linda, it's not a good argument for Islam, is what
Linda,
I'm
did you
saying.
just call me Linda?
Yes.
Right, thank you. Um no, so you're telling me like, oh, humans have all kinds of motives, blah 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 blah. So I think that when you have, it's like it basically structures things better, especially when you have a percentage that goes to charity, and it's like, okay, this is one of your five pillars.
opinion.
Like,
That's
be
a
a good
subjective
person.
opinion.
That's not a subjective
It
opinion.
is
Like
subjective.
people tend to, for example, something
Okay, I
as
don't know
simple
how many
as like
cups
going
of
to the
coffee
gym,
that you
right?
drank
When
today,
you
but you
have,
need to take a breath and actually have a conversation. Because
I am having a
you're going at a
conversation.
million miles per second and you're not listening to what I'm saying.
I literally am pausing to like listen to what you're saying. Like I don't know what like, okay, anyway. People tend to like make more progress when they have like some sort of like structure and motive to do things. Like for example, even the gym. Like you're gonna make much more progress when you're like, okay, 5 a.m. every day, like
Okay,
I'm gonna
I
hit the
don't
gym
need
instead of being like,
Islam to
oh, I'm
do
going
any
to
of
do
those
like.
things.
No, but that's what I'm telling you. Things like charity, like that's what gives you
Right.
structure to
Right.
like
You can do charity without Islam. So
consistently do
therefore it's not
charity.
a good reason to be
You're
Muslim.
gonna tend to like when you have that rule and you have that structure and you have
Okay,
that consistency
you
and
need
you
to
have those
stop this
books.
argument because it's not convincing. Because I can do all those things without Islam.
I'm trying to. I know that you can do it. Totally, you can do it.
Okay,
But
then
when
I
you have
don't
the
need Islam,
motive
so
to
it's
do
not a
it,
good
you
reason to
tend to
become a
do it.
Muslim.
You tend to like do it more often and do it more consistently, and so that's what I'm trying to explain. Like when you have that structure,
Have you been
when
drinking?
you have. No, I'm Muslim. I don't drink. That's another thing. We don't drink. We don't smoke. We don't.
So anyways, you're not giving me any good reason to be a Muslim because I can do all those things by becoming a Buddhist
Let
monk.
me continue on. Let me
I can
continue on.
everything
Something
that you
as
just
simple
said,
as.
everything that you just said, I can achieve by becoming a Buddhist monk. And
That's
I would do
great then.
more.
You
So
achieve it.
then there's no reason to be a Muslim.
So to me, I connect better with Islam, and I think that like
Right, so that's a
it
bad
motivates
reason to believe
me more to
something.
be a better
It's because you
person than
connect
like
better with
Buddhism
it.
does.
That's a bad
So
reason to believe
obviously,
something.
obviously I'm gonna explain to you from my personal experience because like I don't know other people's experience, right? I'm telling you that like this motivates me to be a better person than like any other religion ever has, any other religion that I've looked into, any other religion that
Okay,
I've like
cool. That's fine.
researched.
That's still not a good reason to believe something to be true.
I
Because you
think,
can
okay,
find
I
that
think
in
there's
many
something
other things.
motivating
How
to be a
did
bad
you spend,
person
hold on,
for
did you spend
good
any,
reason.
listen, Linda, did you spend any time as a Buddhist monk in a Buddhist
I,
temple?
I totally looked into Buddhism,
I didn't
and
ask
I
if you
just
looked
didn't
into it.
connect.
Can
Like,
you answer
I
the
didn't
question,
feel a
please? Can you
reason.
answer the question, please? Did you spend any time as a
Okay,
Buddhist monk in a
not
Buddhist
spending
temple?
time in a Buddhist temple, I don't
Why
think
why aren't you willing to
that
answer
means
the
that like I'm
question?
gonna be Muslim.
Why aren't you
No,
willing to answer the question?
I was never a Buddhist monk, dude. I'm 22 years old. I didn't have enough
Okay, so
time in my
you
life to
never
like
spent
devote my
time
life to be
as
a
a
Buddhist
Buddhist
monk.
monk. So how do you know that you wouldn't get more discipline as a Buddhist monk than you would as a Muslim?
Just looking into Buddhism, I was like, I know myself,
You're
and
not answering the
I don't
question.
have any motive to actually. No, I'm answering it right now.
You're
I
not
don't have
answering
any,
the
like,
question.
I'm not
That's
even.
not the question I asked
I
you. I
didn't
didn't
even. No, no,
ask you
no.
what you
It
like.
didn't even.
Here's what you think I'm asking you. Hey, what did you read
You
and
didn't.
what kind of here's what you think that I'm asking you. You think that I'm asking you, hey, what did you read and what kind of resonated with you best? That's not what I'm asking you. I'm not asking what resonated with you. I'm saying, how do you know you couldn't get more discipline out of being a Buddhist monk if you've never tried?
It doesn't give me just learning about it doesn't even give me enough motive to want
That's
to
not the question
further
I'm
learn about it,
asking you.
further look
That's
into
not the
it.
question I asked you. Can you please answer the question I asked you?
And there you have it. Another debate. Another lesson in why truth must be objective, not emotional. Here are 3 key takeaways from this video. First, monotheism alone isn't a proof for Islam. If that's your only criteria, you could just as well be a Jehovah's Witness or a Mormon. Second, charity is not exclusive to Islam. In fact, the Catholic Church remains the largest charitable organization in the world. And third, personal experience might feel powerful, but it can't be the foundation for eternal truth. Belief must be based on evidence, not emotion. If you found this insightful, make sure to like, drop a comment, and subscribe to this channel for more. Until next time, stay sharp, stay grounded, and always follow the truth wherever it leads.